Hello, my name is Paul Samuel and I'm a solicitor at Ashby Cohen, a specialist firm of employment law solicitors based in central London, a few minutes from Oxford Circus. When was the last time you looked at your employment contract? Many people who come to Ashby Cohen for advice haven't looked at their employment contract since they signed it. It is important to understand that the contract forms the bargain which you entered into with your employer when you started work. What many people forget is that the employer can insert clauses into the contract which restrict the activities of the employee for a period after the termination of their employment. These are known as post-termination restrictions or restrictive covenants. This is why, if you do have restrictions in your employment contract, you should take specialist advice at the earliest possible opportunity. Here at Ashby Cohen, we are able to advise you what the post-termination restrictions mean, how they affect you, and whether or not they are enforceable against you. If you are joining a new company, check your contract for post-termination restrictions. If you do not understand what they mean or how they affect you, then make sure to take specialist advice. If you want to leave your employment and go and work for another employer, you need to check your old contract to ensure that there are no restrictions in it, limiting who you can work for and what you can do. Even if you have been dismissed by your employer, and you think that the dismissal is unfair, it does not necessarily affect the employer's rights to enforce the post-termination restrictions. Checking your old contract may sound simple, but it is in fact very complex. It requires us to analyze your job at your old employer and how your role has evolved. It requires us to look at the new business and the business of your old employer, and to decide whether in all the circumstances it is reasonable for the employer to seek to enforce the restrictions. Every case needs to be independently assessed. There is no one-size-fits-all rule. There are also a number of different types of restrictions, ranging from restrictions on use of confidential information to restrictions on competition and restrictions on non-solicitation. The more senior you are within your employer, the more complex the restrictions are likely to be, and the greater the need to take specialist advice. It is especially important for you to take advice if you have been given a settlement agreement to sign. You will often find that settlement agreements require you to reaffirm the post-termination restrictions, so that it is important for you to know how they affect you. In this way, if you want to challenge the reaffirmation, you have the opportunity of doing so before you sign the settlement agreement. If you have any queries about your post-termination restrictions or any other queries about your work situation, please give one of our solicitors a call in confidence to discuss your position.